Hey everybody, Goosebumps for Dummies here, and today I am going to be talking about Spooksville. Yes, the series of middle grade horror books from starting in 1995 and ending at book 24. Yeah, this was a 24 book long series that had a recurring set of characters named Adam, Sally, Watch, and Cindy. In today's video, I am going to be talking about the first 4 books of the series, titled The Secret Path, The Howling Ghost, The Haunted Cave, and Aliens in the Sky. Now, these books are not quite an overarching story, at least the early ones, and as it stands, I've read the first 10 as of recording this video, and definitely not quite an overarching story quite yet, though there's stuff being built up. These books can be basically enjoyed individually, so if you're wondering that going into this video, this is technically an anthology series if you don't mind them mentioning things happening in prior books that may or may not be slight spoilers, and fair warning, I will be going to spoilers in this video, most likely. And the reason I'm doing this is because I just felt like I want to take a unique approach to every Kids Horror series. Whether it be very small, I might do a very quick retrospective about the whole thing, except this is a 24-book series. And I want to do a whole retrospective. I want to do parts. So, assuming this is going to be a trend of 4 books per, it should be a 6-book or part retrospective. And I also plan to do the TV show, so technically be 7. And that'll probably be done in the summer, if I had to bet. Because I have actually only watched the TV show wholly. I've not read all the books. In fact, I didn't start reading them until August last year. In fact, I barely even knew they existed. So yeah, that tells you my connection. My only nostalgia for Spooksville, by the way, is the show, which I watched on the Hub way back, when the Hub was still a thing for it turned to Discovery Family. No nostalgia for these books. However, I'm still going into them with an open mind, no less, even if the show is good or bad. I won't tell you my opinion on it yet. In fact, I still need to rewatch it. But yeah, I just wanted to do something unique for Spooksville, and I don't want to really talk about any book in particular, so why not just talk about them all in their own, set videos. So next Spooksville retrospective, which will come out probably in the summer, will be books 5 through 8. What we will discuss is obviously the stories of these books, each in order, as well as foreign and specifically just UK releases, as well as the reprints that came out alongside the TV series, I believe. And when I say we're talking about the reprints and UK versions, I'm talking about the cover arts. Yeah, we're ranking covers today. I'll talk about them as they come along to share my opinions on the cover arts. But for now, let's just dive right in. Bear with me because I read this book back in August last year, but The Secret Path, this one came out in October of 1995, making this indeed a 30-year-old book series. I believe this is the first print too, so yeah, this book's 30 years old. This first story of the series follows, obviously, Adam, who is the main character. He's kind of that hero type. He makes all great decisions, he's quick thinking, and all that stuff. He's just moved to the town of, not Spooksville, but Springsville, which is actually titled Spooksville according to the locals, specifically Sally and Watch, who he meets very shortly upon his arrival. Very quickly, hijinks ensues as Adam, Watch, and Sally decide to go find the secret path, which apparently Watch and Sally have been trying to access for months. They confide with the town Bum, which is another character of the Spooksville series, as well as, even not quite willingly, they kind of just run into her, Ann Templeton. Yeah, Ann Templeton is a witch. Putting it simply, she is a witch. She's kind of the one on the cover, I believe, except this might be her alternate universe counterpart from The Secret Path, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, just telling you the character names off rip in case you need clarity. They do eventually access the Secret Path, which is this dark alternate realm that is a mere reflection of Spooksville with decay and monsters everywhere, kind of like the Upside Down from Stranger Things, putting it pretty simply. Except I believe it's way more inhabited than it was in Stranger Things Season 5, so yeah. And they quickly run into trouble when the evil version of Ann Templeton in this realm may or may not kidnap our 2 boys, and Sally's left to come find them and help them escape. And eventually they do escape the secret path by just skin of their teeth. It's basically introducing you to the series and all it has to offer from a tonal standpoint. It's going to be fun monster hijinks every episode, or book, I guess. And I thoroughly do enjoy this book. I think it is a very good introduction to the series. In fact, I'd argue it's fantastic. It's not quite flawless, but I do think it really does stick the landing for a first book with introducing these characters flawlessly, almost like you've known them already. without giving too much detail, as you'll kind of learn a little more about them going throughout the books, which I probably won't go into much detail myself. I want you guys to check out these books, of course. I do recommend the series at the end of the day, if you're looking for fun kids horror adventure. And I generally do like the characters and the writing from Christopher Pike. I barely even mentioned Christopher Pike. Yeah, he wrote this series, who wrote plenty of books back in the day. But yeah, Spooksville's Secret Path, I think nowadays I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's really fucking good. If I had to pick my favorite cover art between this one, the United Kingdom one, and the reprints, I would choose the reprint. I'm not even kidding. I do think all three are really good. I do like this cover. I think it looks pretty solid, and I'd say it's probably the second best three. And the UK one is pretty on par with this. I think it also looks pretty good for just an art piece. It's probably the least interesting of the three, but still good. The reason I think the new one is better, I just think it's the best looking of the three. It's got the best atmosphere and just a really good art direction, style, and all that. One big issue I will have with the reprint artworks is the border. It's completely black, and it's kind of ugly. It really makes the books unappealing in that way, but the art itself is really good. So yeah, of the three, good art for the reprint and all of them in general, but my reprint's the favorite. Now moving on to the Howling Ghost. Also want to say I'm probably not going to talk about the arts for too long. I really want to talk about the stories here. Howling Ghost introduces Cindy, who is our fourth main character of the series. She's the second girl, making this a complete split 50-50 of gender. Cool. Cindy is introduced through the aspect of her brother going missing due to a ghost in his lighthouse on the Bay of Spooksville. And this book, I think, is a sharp downgrade. I'm saying it right off the bat. This is probably the weakest of the series. Yeah, I read the first 10. This is probably the weakest. Which is not a terrible thing, because I'm still getting a decently positive score, but still, it is definitely the weakest of the series. Going from one of the best, arguably. Where it goes from there is Adam, Sally, Cindy, and Watch retrieve the little brother from the lighthouse after some quests, and learn that the ghost inhabiting the lighthouse, which, by the way, that's a woman, in case you can't tell. I thought it was a man for a long time. I could barely even tell, just from the cover, is actually related to Cindy, who's this girl right here. Yeah, I know, big plot twist, and it's never even brought up, like, at all past this book, but cool, and it kind of resolves itself when the ghost realizes that, and everyone does. So yeah, happy ending. Cindy and her brother and all of them get out alive. It's just an okay book at the end of the day. I think I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Of all the Spooksvilles, I think this one has a lot of padding, and I do think Cindy and Sally's dynamic is terrible. In fact, it's probably the worst thing of this whole series, because it's in a lot of books where they may or may not be together often or not. The ones they are not together often are usually the better ones, surprisingly. Yeah. So, or maybe unsurprisingly, sorry. This is easily one of the weakest Spooksvilles. And I don't mention it, but it's also an issue in the Haunted Cave, Cindy and Sally's dynamics. And the reason they suck so much is not only do they hate each other, they're beefing over Adam, because they're horny teenagers. They're like 12, man. Cover arts. I think, arguably, this is the best one, though I think the reprint is a close second. If not, it could switch any day. Yeah, I really like the reprint for the TV show. Looks really good. The UK one looks kind of rough, not gonna lie. Not the biggest fan of it, but still not a terrible cover. But overall, I think this is the best one. Now let's talk about another weaker Spooksville. Yeah, book 3 is not far from the quality of book 2, where it's just a kind of 6 out of 10. In this one, they try to see if they can go find some kids who went missing beforehand, or just try to prove or disprove that there is a creature in the cave, which I don't remember the title of, but basically a Sasquatch of some kind, or a, this fucker on the cover, that eats people. They're trying to disprove or prove it's real, because the girl's going to fight over it. And believe it or not, it's real, but it's not evil. As the book drags on and on for them fighting goblins and just getting lost in this cave, with Watch, the only one not actually in it, trying to get them out with the help of Bum. By the end of the book, Watch does get lost out in the cave, and that leads to the exit of the book, where the main characters all get out. In case you're wondering what happened to this dude, whatever it is, the cave monster, it is actually, again, friendly, and it retreats to another dimension with the help of Adam. The alternate realm essentially houses its relatives. Okay. Yeah, it's... I mean, shit, man. I don't know how to feel on this one too much. I enjoyed it. I think that's the biggest sentiment I can get out of it. But it's easily one of the weakest Spooksvilles as well. I think this series had a very iffy start, because it started great with the first book, and then the next two were just kind of okay. I think I'd give this one a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's a bit better than Howling Ghost. It's just not as boring, and I think the cave setting's interesting. Though still, definitely not one of the better Spooksvilles in my opinion. And to rank the cover arts, I actually don't really care for any of the three too much. Well, I will say it might be the UK one. I have a thing for bats, and there are bats in this one. It looks okay, but of the first 4 Spooksville covers for America, or at least this version, I don't really care for. Sorry, that's my cat. I don't really care for this one. And the reprint, it looks good. I think all the reprint covers look really solid. In fact, I'd argue say they're probably the most upstanding, like all round. But yeah, I just give the slight edge to the UK edition. Figure I know how I feel on this one. My alien bias kicking in. Oh, Spooksville's Aliens in the Sky is probably the most interesting plot progression we've seen in the series. It's not heavy, it just gives you something to chew on for Spooksville as a universe. Aliens come to the reservoir near Spooksville, and Adam, Watch, Cindy, and Sally may or may not get in the mix of it. And they end up all going to space. Separated, too. The boys go together first, and then Sally and Cindy, forgetting their names, I'm having an aneurysm here, go after them to save them. They meet Equi 12, I think his name was, which I don't know which one he is. I don't know if he's on the cover. He was like a younger alien who apparently is smarter than the older ones. And Equi 12 is a good guy. The older aliens are evil and trying to put, are trying to put Adam and Watch in a alien zoo on their spaceship. Not quite planet, because their planet is shitty looking, apparently. And you'll find out why. By the end of the book, they get all the young aliens rally up and help save Adam and Watch, and Cindy and Sally help orchestrate that. And eventually they do get off scot-free with some bomb threats as well. And there's also some payoff to earlier exposition involving, I'm not even fucking kidding, time travel. And I mean huge payoff, because guess what the big twist of the book is? This is a huge spoiler I vaguely warned you about when I said there would be spoilers in this video. The aliens in this book, this trope has been done twice in kids' horror to my count that I remember, are humans. Yeah, the aliens in this book are actually humans from the distant future. The only other case is from an actually never ongoing kids' horror series, except it's more of the plot. I'll maybe do a retrospective on it when I'm done with it. I'm only on book 6 of that one. But yeah, this is a crazy plot twist. And that's why their planet looks shitty, is because of pollution. And that's why they look like this. Yes, man. Very, very fun book. I think this Spooksville's great. I like Equi 12 as a character, whatever his name is or pronounced. I think it's that. Just going off memory. I haven't read the blurb or anything going into this video. I just going off memory from when I read it a few months ago. But yeah, really like this Spooksville. In fact, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the best of the early series. Very good. And when we talk about the cover arts, I think the best of the free versions I like to discuss, there might be more out there, but the free ones that are most popular, is the reprint. Yeah, so in this video, guess who's won out? The reprints for the TV show. Yeah, suck on that, nostalgiaholics. The reprint for this book looks fucking great. Look at that. Oh my god, that's good. That's some good art. I do think the UK edition kind of sucks. Sorry about that. Yeah, that one looks pretty rough. And Aliens in the Sky, American, whatever the one I have here, it looks okay. I think the artist does a good job on all of his Spooksvilles, just from a stylistic standpoint, for ones I am now used to. But of them all, of the three, not the weakest, not the best. I just think it's about standard for his work. I did a little research and I found that the artist is Lee MacLeod for the ones I have. His art is pretty cool. I think he does a great job for every book in the series, just as a work of art. Make sure to go check out his website, link in the description. He does not have a lot of Spooksville artworks on there though, at least that I can find. So yeah, that is the end of my first Spooksville retrospective. I just wanted to do the first 4 books today very, very shortly. I do plan to talk about the whole series, except some of them get pretty rare, especially towards the end, obviously. I do own the first 12, and I've only read the first 10, and I plan to talk about at least the first 16 this year, hopefully, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Thank you guys for watching. Tell me if you want to see another one. Tell me what you want me to talk about besides Spooksville, or maybe which retrospectives you want to see sooner, and how I should go about them. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.